Here is how you can play the almighty Halloween gambit. First of all, the pawn should be on e4 to start the game. Black follows up with e5. Now you can put your knight to attack this pawn right here to f3. The black pieces have to defend the central pawn, so they play knight to c6 to defend the pawn. Now you can play the move knight to c3, which follows up with knight to d5, which controls the center of the board, and if the queen moves you can fork the king with the rook. Knight has to stop this attack and plays the move knight to f6 to prevent the knight going on the square. Now you can simply sacrifice your knight on e5. After the knight takes, you can push your pawn to d4. The knight goes on c6 again. After the knight goes on c6, you can push your pawn to threaten the knight again. After it goes on e5, you can push your pawn to f4. After the knight goes inside the square g6, you can threat the other knight by playing the move e5, which is a great move here because the knight only has a square g8, which he has to go on. Now we can push the pawn to trade material of takes and takes. Now the queen goes on f6, trying to attack both of your pawns at the same time. You can prevent this move by playing knight on b5, which is the best move here, cause after this move you protect both of your knight and a fork is incoming. So in this position king has to move because the next move is a fork, and you can play the move bishop to e3, which is a move that attacks the pawn on a7. If the pawn tries to attack the knight, you can simply play bishop e6, b6 to give a check to the king. Now the king only has one move, which is e8 here. So when the king plays e8, you can simply fork the king and the rook. After the king, which has the only square d8, goes on d8, you can take the rook on a8 by giving a discovered check. Now the only move for the king is e8 again. You give a check. The king goes on d8. You fork the king by taking his queen. Because it's a discovered check, the king has to move. And now after the king moves, you can take the queen, and after the knight takes the knight, on f6, you can simply put your queen to d2, giving a check. The bishop blocks the check, and now you can push the pawn to f5 because the only defender for this bishop is the knight. Now the knight has to move. After the knight moves, you can simply give a checkmate.